losing money, but in a very methodical way.
Yeah.
Tell us one way to describe it.
Yeah.
You give a minimum 33% of your income to high impact charities every year as a member of the Earn to Give movement. Just tell us a little bit about that and how it came into your life, because it's incredible. It really is.
So I first came across this idea actually after I had retired from poker. And basically in the few years after I quit poker, I had given away a lot of the money that I had and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. Wasn't really sure what motivated me. Because one thing that I knew from a young age, being a poker player, being quite successful very young, is one, I knew that making a lot of money didn't make me happy. And it didn't seem to make other people I knew very, very happy. And second, that nevertheless, I think that I am somebody who is fairly good at making money. Like I think I have the right kind of skills and temperament to be good at it, but I wasn't particularly motivated by making money for myself. And so I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life and what would actually be meaningful and have an impact on the world. Because that's one thing that I knew that poker didn't have. Poker is sort of unique in being a true zero-sum game, where the only way that you make money in poker is by taking money from somebody else. You're not creating any value in the world of poker. And I hated that about my poker career. And when I learned about the ideas behind what's called effective altruism and the idea behind earning to give, the idea that basically if you're somebody who can earn a lot of money, you can actually have a disproportionate amount of impact in the world by donating that money to very high impact charities. And especially if you're somebody who can make a lot of money, then you can donate enough so that, if you imagine you yourself went to go work at a high impact charity, you might command a salary of, let's say 50K, 60K, 70K, some amount of money. If you can donate enough money, if you can donate, let's say twice that amount of money, then actually you can pay for even more people to go do the work you would have otherwise done for that charity yourself. And that to me made complete sense. That if I really want to maximize my impact on the world, then the places where the money that I make can go the farthest and do the most good are places where I'm not even necessarily that well equipped to go and help them. But many charities in the world are constrained by capital. And so that was what made me decide that, okay, I think this makes sense. I want to devote my life to earning to give. So I'm going to go and try to pursue a high income career so that I can donate money to charity. And that was actually what led me to the tech industry, because I'd always had an interest in tech. I'd always found, the internet companies. I grew up on technology. I always found them fascinating, but I never thought that I would have any role or any value that I could give to any of these companies. And so it was kind of in a series of kind of strokes of luck / realization that I ended up finding my way into learning how to code, going into the tech industry, and starting my career there. And the first job that I got in 2015, as soon as I got it, I started donating 33% of my income to high impact charities, and I've been doing that ever since.
And the high impact bit, because one of our audience questions was, how is that actually calculated? From Ben Brethwick, who's at Hayes McIntyre doing accounting. And that is, it's like scientifically, right? Like, I know it's quite interesting. Is it?
Yeah. So the way that I like to frame the way that I think about impact is that, like you mentioned, I think for a lot of the things that we do in life, like let's say if you're dealing with your finances or you're thinking about, advertising or whatever, people are very, very statistically, scientifically driven, right? We think about like A/B testing. We think about, maximizing this or that or blah, blah, blah. And we try to be extremely rigorous in the way that we think about getting things done in the world of business, in the world of science, and all these different domains that we consider very important to public enterprise. But then when it comes to charity, for some reason, people like to sort of turn their brains off. And they like to stop thinking with the same level of rigor and attention. And instead, they start saying like, well, this seems like a really nice thing to do, so let's go do that. To me, this is totally backwards, because charity and helping people is one of the most important things that we do. So if anything, we should be even more rigorous and apply an even higher standard of care when we think about how to allocate resources to actually helping the people in the world who are the worst off. And so, when I think about what it means to allocate, resources to the highest impact charities in the world, The question really is, measured dollar for dollar, what is the most good that can be done? What is the way to help people the most efficiently and effectively, given the limited resources that we have available to us? That question, of course, is a very, very difficult question to answer. And there are a lot of really smart people who are taking a scientific framework and a very rigorous framework to thinking about, if you normalize, the value of human life, and if you assume that all human lives are equally valuable, where and how can you minimize the amount of human suffering the most for a given amount of resources? And there have been many proposals. So there's an organization called GiveWell, which is based in San Francisco, that does this. They basically try to use a very rigorous scientific framework to look at all the highest impact charities around the world and try to see, given the marginal dollar, so not given, it's a question not of what charities do the most good. That's actually a separate question of, if you have a dollar to give to a charity, where should that dollar go? Because of course, some of those charities already do all that good, and you giving them another dollar isn't going to make them do more of what they already do necessarily, right? So for example, the Red Cross gives out tons of vaccines all over the world. And those vaccines are incredibly, incredibly, incredibly valuable. But if you go give another $1 million to the Red Cross, well, it's already giving out all those vaccines. It doesn't need $1 million to go give out more of those vaccines. It's already doing all that. So if you give it $1 million, well, it's going to find the next best project that it needs that's not already funded, and it's going to give the $1 million to that. And so the question is always at the margin for the next, dollar or $100, $1,000 that you're going to donate to charity. What is that $1,000 going to actually do that wouldn't otherwise get done? That question is very hard to answer, but there are smart people out there trying to answer it. And that's what I look to when I say donating money to high impact charities.
Yeah, it's incredible. And quite frankly, I think it's quite inspiring for everyone. Something, I'd personally like to aim for. I think that's pretty cool.